Hello and welcome to my channel, I Win to Lose Gaming. Genshin Impact has had many event weapons over the years, with the newest one being the Tamayuratei no Ohanashi. In this video, we'll be taking a look at how good this eyeball on a stick is on every polearm character to find out if it's the Tamayuratei no Ohanashi or the Tamayuratei no Thanks. This eyeball on a stick can be obtained from the currently ongoing event, the Enchanted Tales of the Mikawa Festival. Besides its amusing appearance, it has some surprising potential, but here's the catch. It's a limited weapon. You know what else is limited like this event Polearm? The second Evangelion collab in today's sponsor, Goddess of Victory, NIKKE. Step into the highly cultured world of NIKKE with a new collab story event, Second Quest, that pits NIKKE and Evangelion waifus alike against the apocalyptic angels. As expected from NIKKE, Second Quest will deliver the same high-quality story and dialogue we've come to expect. And what kind of collab would this be without a bakery full of new characters? Asuka's back with a new form and, most importantly, a new hat. Rei's returned, and this time she's got a tentative name. And Shinji, well, he's still sulking about life in the corner because he's not here. There's also a new SR Rarity collab character, Sakura Suzuhara, plus a ton of new costumes, both free and exclusive. For Asuka, a free white plug suit and the exclusive Ocean's Lament. For Rei, tentative name, now she's found a hat like Asuka, and a dress and a cello. And even Mari Makinami gets some new costumes with this illustrious mystery muse dress. And as part of the event, you'll get to explore the Red Sea, a massive new 3D event map with many hidden secrets and tons of free goodies. Not only that, but there's even a brand new Denmaku minigame, which, like with some of NIKKE's past minigames, could stand as a standalone game. Second Quest runs from February 20th to March 12th, 2025. Forget about getting in the robot, get in the game before the event's gone by smashing the link down below. Huge thanks to NIKKE Goddess of Victory for sponsoring today's video. Now what exactly does this funny looking stick do? It's a polearm with a decently high base attack for a 4-star weapon at 565. Its secondary stat is 30.6% energy recharge, and at refinement 5, it provides 10% movement speed and 40% attack for 10 seconds after using an elemental skill. 40% attack is a lot, and in fact is a bit higher than if the weapon just had attack percent as a substat, which would be at 27.6%. Now before moving on to its combat potential, let's take a look at its exploration capabilities. Funnily, in this very rudimentary test, it took Zhongli roughly the same amount of time to cross this bridge, with the Tamayuratei's speed buff and without the Tamayuratei's speed buff. This is because Zhongli actually has to cast his elemental skill, which does take some time in order to gain the speed buff. Now, Xiao is also likely able to utilize this 10% movement speed buff a bit in the overworld, but overall, the gains in movement speed are fairly marginal and not really why we care about this weapon. Now, what about its murder potential? Many are wondering, how good can a stick with a funny face even be? In order to answer that question, we must take a look at all our fellow stick-wielding individuals, which includes world-renowned chefs such as the Raiden Shogun, highly popular characters such as Mika, and magnetic personalities such as Emilie. However, only those that strongly utilize the attack stat should be considered as a worthy candidate for the Tamayuratei no Ohanashi. This leaves us with Xiao, Raiden, Cyno, Emilie, Arlecchino, Rosaria, and Xiangling to talk about. So in order to answer the question of how good this funny stick is, I had to dust off my old damage maximizing algorithm to crank out a few quick calculations. Starting with the meme where every patch buffs Xiangling, I'm sad to inform you that there is a catch for Xiangling, being the catch. Xiangling doesn't have any issues snapshotting the buff from this weapon, as she can simply toss Guobao first and then use her elemental burst. Despite that, there is tragically very little reason, if any, to use the Tamayuratei over the catch for Xiangling. For the uninitiated, the catch is the notorious polearm obtained from hours of Paimon screaming in your ears while you catch countless pufferfish. Now, my damage maximizer also gives a couple more crit and attack percent substat rolls to the catch because the catch has more energy recharges substat, which makes it easier for it to maintain 250% energy recharge for Xiangling to maintain her burst uptime.
This actually allows the catch to perform even better in calculations than what can be noticed, generally speaking, in-game tests, because unfortunately, we can't really put the perfect artifacts in in-game testing for each weapon due to, well, just the lack of being able to customize your artifacts like that. In in-game tests, we perceive crit numbers are also much closer, but the support and factor energy change in substats as well as the top rate of catch.
Anyway, I should just put this all as a giant disclaimer, but I felt like explaining it, and yeah. Anyway, the catch significantly buffs Xiangling's burst damage thanks to the 12% crit rate to elemental bursts and 32% elemental burst damage. And considering the Tamayuratei can't even compete with the catch, it certainly can't compete with any of her stronger options like the Engulfing Lightning, Staff of Scarlet Sands, etc, etc. Anyway, let's next talk about the Raiden Shogun. You'll quickly learn that any character that relies on burst damage has the catch as a better option. In a Hyper Raiden team, the catch's average first slash damage output is around 10% better than the Tamayuratei. Not only that, but you need to waste some time before Raiden's burst using her skill to activate the Tamayuratei's buff, which actually does matter a bit, as that eats into Kujo Sara's short 6-second buff window. So yeah, add another character that prefers the catch over the funny looking stick. Up next we have Rosaria. Since Rosaria is yet another character that relies on elemental burst damage, she is another character for whom the catch is a better option for. Alternatively, since for many Rosaria teams, her personal damage, while nice, isn't as important as the particles she can generate and her cryo application, the Favonius Lance is only 11% worse while providing far more support for the team. So yeah, another character with a catch when it comes to using the funny looking stick. Now that we've gotten our burst damage focused characters out of the way, we're actually getting to some interesting options, with overall, in my opinion, the biggest benefactor for this polearm, Xiao. Now people that own Xiao have generally owned him for a very long time, unless you're one of the few that pulled him from the recent Chronicled Wish banner. And assuming you have pretty much none of the many 5-star polearms that Xiao can utilize, including 2 on the standard banner, the Primordial Jadewing Spear and even the Skyward Spine, well, Xiao finally got a good free-to-play friendly 4-star option. Xiao needs his burst to function, and that means he generally needs around 130 to 140% energy recharge. Now you do have to use Xiao's elemental skill partway through his burst window, which actually does kind of suck, as that means he's generating less anima particles for himself. I didn't actually calculate how much energy regen he actually needs with this handicap, so yeah, I was a bit lazy here with the math. Anyway, if energy is not an issue for you, well, this weapon is going to fall behind the deathmatch, but regardless, the deathmatch is a battle pass weapon which you have to pay for. So yeah, I can see that Xiao finally got a reasonable, fully free-to-play friendly option polearm for those 10 Xiao owners out there that don't have one of his better options. The next largest benefactor in my opinion is Emilie. Okay, scratch that. I completely forgot while writing this script and doing calculations about Emilie's lantern mechanics. First of all, Emilie doesn't snapshot her lantern. This means that it doesn't save the 40% attack buff from her fellow lantern polearm, and that buff only lasts for 10 seconds. More importantly, recasting Emilie's skill resets the lantern back to level 1, which is a huge no-no for Emilie's damage. Despite this weapon also being a fellow lantern, it's not a weapon I recommend for Emilie, and honestly, I prefer the Favonius over this thing. Now we're reaching a few characters that I figured I should still mention. A free-to-play Shenhe can indeed utilize this weapon and can provide larger quills, in comparison to the frequently used Favonius Lance. This weapon will provide a higher quill buff while also not needing to build any crit rate like you would need to for the Favonius Lance. It's actually a usable free-to-play friendly option on Shenhe. Then we have Arlecchino, who at Constellation 0 really doesn't care about using her burst every rotation. Her burst is largely an emergency heal button, and thus the energy recharge stat is not really that useful on her. As such, the white tassel is just a better free-to-play friendly option for Arlecchino. Not only that, but when Arlecchino uses her skill, she needs to wait for 5 seconds before going back on field to use a charge attack to finally start attacking. This means that the 40% attack buff from this weapon will fall off in just a few seconds, which makes this weapon even worse for Arlecchino. And lastly, we have Cyno, who, I'm not gonna lie, I decided not to bother calcing. His kit is quite complicated with damage split between aggravate, basic attack, skill damage, and sometimes hyper bloom. Right off the bat, for the 10 Cyno enjoyers out there, Cyno you exist. Comment down below if you are one. I can tell you that there are great alternatives like the Katane Cross Spear. Granted, the energy regen on this thing is nice and the attack percent is fine as well. I'm not gonna say conclusively whether it's better or worse than his other options, since it actually does require math, and if you know the answer that Psy don't know, well, let us know down below. So yeah, that about covers it for everyone relevant. All the other characters either scale off of HP, don't really care about their attack stat, scale off of defense, etc, etc. To summarize, overall the best characters to utilize this thing are likely free-to-play Xiao and to a certain extent Shenhe as well. Of course, it being completely free and obtainable in an hour or so of gameplay makes it highly worth getting, even if you don't really plan to use it on someone, because who knows, maybe it will be useful on someone in the future. For example, perhaps we'll have another character in the future that does like to have energy recharge and also likes to have attack percent. This is going to be a good polearm to get for them, so be sure to go grab it if you haven't. The main issue with this weapon currently though is that the catch already exists and is a superior choice for the burst damage dependent polearm users. But one nice advantage of this weapon is that you don't have to spend hours fishing to obtain it, which is an incredible time saver if you don't have the catch already. Interestingly, this weapon being a solid choice on Xiao and Shenhe is a small bone thrown to those people who did pull for those two characters in the previous Chronicled Wish banner and might not have any better polearm alternatives. But here's the cold hard truth. As Genshin ages, we are naturally getting more and more of these event weapons. From both a collector's perspective as well as a meta perspective, this system could definitely use some improvement. For example, even to this day, many want weapons such as the Festering Desire or Albedo's signature weapon, the Cinnabar Spindle. If only we could use some sort of currency similar to the coins we use to purchase funny poses in Imaginarium Theater to purchase funny weapons instead. Not only that, but these event weapons are, in my opinion, the perfect opportunity to buff older, less appreciated characters, downtrodden by the modern meta. Wouldn't it be cool if they released more character-favored weapons like the Cinnabar Spindle? Personally, I would love to see more weapons like the Cinnabar Spindle targeting specific characters, as well as a way for us to obtain some of these weapons that we've missed, albeit slowly, over time. Or do you prefer the current system that we have, releasing overall pretty mediocre weapons that are a bit more universal for more of the cast, and only being available for a limited time? Let me know down in the comments below, and also huge thanks to NIKKE for sponsoring today's video. Be sure to check out their Evangelion collab. As always, I appreciate every single one of you. This is I Went to Lose, signing out.
風羽ばたくくだらなくせような心